Parul Shah joins us this morning, and she's the CEO and founder of Embracing Counseling Services and Empowering First Responder Families. And I think it's so wonderful that you're here because you have such a unique perspective, both from being a first responder yourself and now entering the Counselor Services program. So first, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Will. Thank you for having me.
Can we first talk about what it was like as a first responder and what that was like for you?
So I'm a first responder family member. So my husband's a police officer here in Ottawa. And so the direct connection of the unique experience of having that connection has the immense ability of providing that internal view of what that life is like as a therapist, but also as a first responder family member.
And you know, for people at home, what would be your number one message that you want to get across from that point of view? Because I think a lot of times people can think about what a difficult position that must be in. You know, you're going through traumatic things each and every day. So what would you feel is the main purpose behind what you do?
The main purpose is communication. And I think a connection and communication of allowing ourselves to say, we're not feeling right, but what are the nuances and what are the behaviors that sometimes an average person is unable to see? And I think that's the most important part, is allowing ourselves to say, okay, my spouse who's a first responder is feeling off, what do I look for? But the other piece that what is lacking is the reality is no one actually has that ability. It is taught.
And it's so true because, you know, a lot of the times too is you can't read someone's mind. You never know what they're actually going through. And a lot of those times too, that's not something that you really, maybe you don't want to talk about. And you do have an event planned up. So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes. So the event is a free event for first responders and their families this Thursday, October 2nd at Head Office Ottawa, which a lot of people are wondering, is that the name or where is it at? It is actually the name of the venue in Canada. And the whole purpose of me hosting this is, as an lived experience first responder family member, I didn't have anybody. I didn't have that community. And providing that community and voice within the first responder community, but also for their families. Because as new hires, you go on the road, you're excited to provide protection and safety in the community, but there's no voice within those families. And I'm there to share, saying, let's connect, let's reconnect, let's rebuild our community. And that's the most important part as well.
How do you think if you had those services while you were doing that, that would have changed the way that you approached or maybe just changed, you know, how your future unfolded in those really difficult moments?
I'll be sharing my story at the event, but the main purpose of this is if I had these resources back in the day, back in 2003, I don't think my husband, who carries a mental and moral injury, would be at that extensive. Our daughters wouldn't have experienced secondary trauma, and I wouldn't have carried compassionate burnout.
Well, Parul, we really appreciate your time this morning. We have everything up on our screen there to support the event. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your story and for joining us in your morning.
Thank you, Will. Thank you for having me.